In PSO2, there's 4 different races, each offering their own different base stats. Males and females of each race also have slightly different stats from each other too. Before we go any further, I really like to stress that it doesn't matter what class you play, that you can play any race and it will work out just fine in the end. Unless you're super min-maxing, it really doesn't matter. Just pick whatever you think looks the coolest, and just go with that. Let's go over some of the stat names you'll be hearing in this video, and what they do. We first have Striking Attack, which is now better known as Melee Attack. I'm only going to be referring to it as Melee going forward, so keep that in mind, anyone who still plays the Japan version. We then have Ranged Attack. This is pretty straightforward, and this is what ranged characters such as Gunner and Rangers would use. We then have Tech Attack, which is what casters would use because their abilities are called techniques. Furthermore, for each of the attack types, there's also a defense counterpart, such as Melee Defense, Ranged Defense, and Tech Defense. Lastly, there is Dex. Dex is something you need to equip certain weapons, and it also helps you with your crit rate, which actually isn't as important as you might think. I already have a video out explaining crit, but I'm going to be redoing that one very soon to give even more information. And with that out of the way, let's just get right to the races. We first have our humans, and these are general all-rounder class. They don't have too many ups or too many downs. The differences between the male and female humans is the males have higher melee attack, HP, and melee and ranged defense. The females have higher tech attack, dex, and tech defense. Next up, we have the Newmans. First thing you might note is they have the pointy ears. Besides that, the lore behind them is that they were genetically engineered or artificially created to be able to use photons better for techniques, but because of that, they're a little more physically frail. That being said, they specialize in tech attack, but they have lower melee attack and HP. The male counterparts have higher HP and range defense than the females, but the females have higher tech attack and T defense than the males. Then we have our casts, which are like robot or androids. They were created to be stronger with weapons, but not as good with magic techniques. So, they have a basic high ranged attack and HP, but they have the lowest tech attack and tech defense. The males have higher HP, melee attack, and melee defense than the females, but the females have higher ranged attack and ranged defense than the males. Lastly, we have our Dumans, and they have horns and dichromatic eyes, which means one eye is a different color from the other. The reason behind this is they were actually created by splicing some of the darker DNA, which is some of the antagonists in the game, with humans and Newmans. They have the strongest melee attack in the game, one of the highest ranged attacks, and they have the second lowest HP. The males have higher melee attack and HP over the females, but the females have higher ranged attack and dex. And that's really it for the races in PSO2. There's not much to it. They're all pretty cool, and again, just pick what you think looks the best and fits what you want to make. Picking something for a specific stat, it'll only result in a maybe 1% more damage in the late game, depending on what class you play. So, just, again, pick what you think looks cool. And, if you build your mag properly, which is like a pet that gives you extra stats, then you'll be just fine. And speaking of mags, if you're hearing this right now, I will actually have a video out later today, actually focusing on mags, and it'll be a little longer than my usual ones, but it's worth it. And that's it for the races, and if that's all you came here for, then feel free to move on, but I do have a few things I want to mention because this is a video that I just redid. Alright, so if you're still with me, awesome, I'll make this pretty quick. As this is the first video in the playlist, I want to ask everyone to understand that if you hear something in another video of mine and it doesn't make much sense, then I will probably be going over that subject in another video. I am not even close to halfway done and I already have 40 out. So if that says anything, I'm going to be just doing a lot. And a lot of the ones at the beginning of the playlist, I will be redoing because I could just do a lot better job, and I did not expect this to take off as fast as it did. So I wanted to have more time to put out more of the basics, and I didn't do everything in the absolute order of importance. So I'm just going to go back and really redo a lot of the ones that I kind of half-assed and didn't do as much information as I could have, and just make sure that everyone has a great experience going forward. They can really understand everything they need here. And again, if you don't see something that you want to see, feel free to mention it, but I guarantee you I will definitely probably get to it very soon. And with that being said, I hope you enjoy the rest of them, and take care.